Tristessa by Jack Kerouac. I'm riding along with Tristessa, in the cab, drunk, with big bottle of Juarez bourbon whiskey in the Tillbag Railroad loot bag that accused me of holding in railroad in 1952. Here I am in Mexico City. Rainy Saturday night, mysteries, old dream side streets with no names reeling in. The little street where I'd walk through crowds of gloomy hobo Indians wrapped in tragic shawls, enough to make you cry and you thought you saw knives flashing beneath the folds. Lugubrious dreams as tragic as the one of old railroad night, where my father sits, big of thighs and smoking car of night. Outside's a brakeman with red light and white light, lumbering in the sad vast mist tracks of life. But now I'm up on that vegetable plateau, Mexico. The moon of Sitlapul a few nights earlier I'd stumbled to on the sleepy roof on the way to the ancient dripping stone toilet. Tristessa is high, beautiful as ever, going home gaily to go to bed and enjoy her morphine. Night before, I've had a quiet hassle in the rain, sat with her darkly at midnight counters, eating bread and soup and drinking Delaware punch. And I'd come out of that interview with a vision of Tristessa in my bed, in my arms. The strangeness of her love cheek, Azteca, Indian girl with mysterious, lidded Billie Holiday eyes, and spoke with great melancholic voice like Louise Rainier, sad-faced Viennese actresses that made all Ukraine cry in 1910. Gorgeous ripples of pear shape her skin to her cheekbones, and long sad eyelids, and Virgin Mary resignation, and peachy coffee complexion and eyes of astonishing mystery, with nothing but earth-depth expressionless, half disdain and half mournful lamentation of pain. I am Sikh, she's always saying to me in bull at the pad. I'm in Mexico City, wild-haired and mad, riding in a cab down past the scene Mexico and rainy traffic jams. I'm swigging from the bottle. Tristessa is trying long harangues to explain that the night before, when I put her in the cab, the driver tried to make her, and she hit him with her fist, news which the present driver receives without comment. We're going down to Tristessa's house to sit and get high. Tristessa has warned me that the house will be a mess because her sister is drunk and sick, and El Indio will be there standing majestically with morphine needle downward in the big brown arm, glitter-eyed, looking right at you, or expecting the prick of the needle to bring the wanted flame itself and going, the Aztec needle in my flesh of flame, looking all a whole lot like the big cat in Coelho who presented me the zero the time I came down to Mexico to see other visions. My whiskey bottle has strange Mexican soft cover cap that I keep worrying will slip off and be all my bag be drowned in bourbon 86 proof whiskey. Through the crazy Saturday night drizzle streets like Hong Kong, our cab pushes slowly through the marketways, and we come out on the Horse Street district and get off behind the fruity fruit stands and tortilla beans and taco shacks with fixed wood benches. It's the poor district of Rome. I pay the cab $3.33 by giving cabbie 10 pesos and asking seis for change, which I get without comment and wonder if Tristessa thinks I'm too splurgy, like Big John drunk in Mexico. But no time to think. We're hurrying through the slicky sidewalks of glisten neon reflections and candle lights of little sidewalk sitters with walnuts on a towel for sale. Turn quickly at the stinky alleyway of our tenement, cell house 1-story high. We go through dripping faucets and pails and boys and duck under wash, and come to our iron door, which from adobe withins is unlocked, and we step in the kitchen, the rain still falling from the leaves and boards that served as the kitchen roof, allowing little drizzles to fizzle in the kitchen over the chicken garbage in the damp corner, where miraculously now I see the little pink cat taking a little pee of piles of okra and chicken feed. The inside bedroom is littered completely and ransacked as by madmen, with torn newspapers and the chickens peckings at the rice and the bits of sandwiches on the floor. On the bed lay Tristessa's sister, sick, wrapped in pink coverlet. It's as tragic as the night Eddie was shot on the rainy Russia Street. Tristessa is sitting on the edge of the bed, adjusting her nylon stockings. She pulls them awkwardly from her shoes with a big sad face, overlooking her endeavors with pursy lips. I watch the way she twists her feet inwardly, convulsively when she looks at her shoes. She is such a beautiful girl. I wonder what all my friends would say back in New York and up in San Francisco, and what would happen down in NOLA when you see her cutting down Canal Street in the hot sun, and she has dark glasses and a lazy walk, and keeps trying to tie her kimono to her thin overcoat, as though the kimono was supposed to tie to the coat, tugging convulsively at it and goofing in the street, saying, "Here, he's the cab. Hey, he, there you go. I bring you back the money." Money's money. She makes money sound like my old French-Canadian aunt in Lawrence. It's not you, money, that I want. It's you, love. Love is love. It's you la vie. The law is love. Same with Tristessa. She's so high all the time and sick, shooting 10 gramos of morphine per month, staggering down the city streets, yet so beautiful people keep turning and looking at her. Her eyes are radiant and shining, and her cheek is wet from the mist, and her Indian hair is black and cool and slick, hanging in 2 pigtails behind the roll-sawed hairdo behind. The correct cathedral Indian hairdo. Her shoes she keeps looking at are brand new, not scrawny, but she lets her nylons keep falling and keeps pulling on them and convulsively twisting her feet. You picture what a beautiful girl in New York, wearing a flowery wide skirt, a la New Look with Dior flat bosom pink cashmere sweater, and her lips and eyes do the same and do the rest. Here she is, reduced to the impoverished Indian lady gloom clothes. You see the Indian ladies in the inscrutable dark of doorways, looking like holes in the wall, not women, their clothes. And you look again and you see the brave, the noble mujer, the mother, the woman, the Virgin Mary of Mexico. Tristessa has a huge icon in the corner of her bedroom. Around it are pictures of the dead. When Tristessa wants to say dead, she clasps her hands in holy attitude, indicating her Aztecan belief in the holiness of death. By same token, the holiness of the essence. So she has a photo of dead Dave, my old buddy of previous years, now dead of high blood pressure at age 55. His vague Greek Indian face looks out from pale, indefinable photograph. I can't see him in all that snow. He's in heaven for sure, hands V-clasped in eternity ecstasy of nirvana. That's why Tristessa keeps clasping her hands and praying, saying too, I love Dave. She had loved her former master. He had been an old man in love with a young girl. At 16, she was an addict. He took her off the street and, himself, an addict of the street, redoubled his energies, finally made contact with wealthy junkies and showed her how to live. Once a year together, they'd taken hikes to Chalmas, to the mountain to climb part of it on their knees to come to the shrine of piled crutches left there by pilgrims healed of disease. The 1,000 Tepete Siras, laid out in the mist, where they sleep the night out in blankets and raincoats, returning, devout, hungry, healthy, to light new candles to the mother, and hitting the street again for their morphine. God knows where they got it. I sit admiring that majestical mother of lovers. There's no describing the awfulness of that gloom and the holes in the ceiling, the brown halo of the night city lost in green vegetable height above the wheels of the Blakean adobe rooftops. Rain is blearing now on the green endlessness of the valley plain north of Actopen. Pretty girls are dashing over gutters full of pools, dogs bark at Hershing cars, the rooster screams beneath the bed. El Indio's eyedropper is completely full. He jabs in the needle hard, and it's dull and it won't penetrate the skin, and he jabs in harder, and works it in, but instead of wincing, waits to open mouth with ecstasy and gets the drop full in, down, standing. You've got to do me a favor, Mr. Gazookas, says old Bull Gaines, interrupting my thought. Come down to Tristessa's with me. I've run short, but I'm bursting to explode out of sight of Mexico City, with walking in the rain splashing through home to bed, dead. It's the raving bloody book of dreams of the cursing world, full of suits, dishonesties, and written agreements. And briberies, to children for their sweets, to children for their sweets. Morphine is for pain, I keep thinking, and the rest is rest. It is what it is, I am what I am. Adoration to Tathagata, Sugata, Buddha, perfect in wisdom and compassion, who has accomplished and is accomplishing, and will accomplish all these words of mystery. I take out my whiskey bottle from the bag, the Canada Dry, open both, and pour me a highball in a cup, making one too for Cruz, who has just jumped out of bed to throw up on the kitchen floor, and now wants another drink. She's been in the cantina for women all day, somewhere back near the whore district of Panama Street, and sinister Rayon Street, with its dead dog in the gutter and beggars on the sidewalk, with no hats looking at you helplessly. Cruz is a little Indian woman with no chin and bright eyes and wears high heel pumps without stockings and battered dresses. What a wild crew of people. In America, a cop would have to do a double take seeing them pass, all be wrongled and arguing and staggering on the sidewalk. Like apparitions of poverty. Cruz takes a highball and throws it up too. Nobody notices. El Indio is holding eyedropper in one hand and a little piece of paper in the other, arguing, tense-necked, red, full blast, at a screaming Tristessa whose bright eyes dance to fight it out. The old lady Cruz groans from the riot of it and buries back in her bed, the only bed, under her blanket, her face bandaged and greasy, the little black dog curling against her, and the cat, and she is lamenting something, her drink sickness, and El Indio's constant harassing for more of Tristessa's supply of morphine. I gulp my drink. I wail on my cup of highball so much they see I'm going to get drunk, so they all permit me and beseech me to take a shot of morphine, which I accept without fear because I'm drunk. Worst sensation in the world, to take morphine when you're drunk. The result knots in your forehead like a rock and makes great pain. They're warring in one field for dominion and none to be had because they've canceled each other out, and the alcohol and the alkaloid. But I accept, and as soon as I begin to feel its warning effect and warm effect, I look down and perceive that the chicken, the hen, wants to make friends with me. She's walking up close with bobbing neck, looking at my kneecap, looking at my hanging hands, wants to come close but has no authority. So I stick my hand out, its beak to be pecked, to let her know I'm not afraid because I trust her not to hurt me really. Which she doesn't, just stares at my hand reasonably and doubtfully, and suddenly, almost tenderly, I pull away my hand with a sense of victory. I want to make friends with that rooster too. By now I'm sitting in front of the bed in the other chair as El Indio has gone out with a bunch of suspicious men with mustaches, one of whom stared at me curiously and with pleased proud grin as I stood with cup in hand acting drunk before the ladies, for his and his friends' edification. Alone in the house with the two women, I sit politely before them, and we talk earnestly and eagerly about God. My friends Isik, I give them shot. Beautiful Tristessa of Dolores is telling me with her long, damp, expressive fingers little Indian tinkle dances before my haunted eyes. Isuen Suando, my friend, does not pays me back, but I don't care, because pointing up with a straight expression into my eyes, finger aloft, my lord pay me, and he pay me more. She leans quickly, emphasizing more, and I wish I could tell her in Spanish the illimitable and inestimable blessing she will get away in nirvana. But I love her. I fall in love with her. She strokes my arm with her thin finger. I love it. I'm trying to remember my place and my position in eternity. I have sworn off lust with women, sworn off lust for lust's sake, sworn off sexuality and the inhibiting impulse. I want to enter the holy stream and be safe on my way to the other shore. But would as lief leave a kiss to Tristessa for her heart, for my heart's sake. She knows I admire and love her with all my heart and that I'm holding myself back. You have your life, she says to old Bull, of whom in a minute, and I have mine, and Jack has his life, indicating me. She's giving me back life and not claiming it for herself, as so many of the women you love do claim. I love her, but I want to leave, she says. I know it, a man and a woman is dead, when they want to be dead. She nods, confirms within herself some dark Aztecan instinctual belief, a wise woman, who would have graced the herds of Beshiknus in very Yasodhara's time and made a divine additional nun. With her lidded eyes and clasped hands, a Madonna. It makes me cry to realize Tristessa's never had a child and probably never will because of morphine sickness. A sickness that goes on as long as the needs and feeds off the need and fills in the need simultaneously. So that she moans from pain all day and the pain is real, like abscesses in the shoulder and neuralgia down the side of the head, and in 1952, just before Christmas, she was supposed to be dying. Holy Tristessa will not be cause of further rebirth and will go straight to her God, and he will recompense her multi-billion-fold in eons and eons of dead karma time. She understands karma, she says. What I do, I reap. She says in Spanish, men and women have errors, faults, sins, faltas. Human beings sow their own ground of trouble and stumble over the rocks of their own false, erring imagination. And life is hard. She knows I know, you know. El Indio has brought sandwiches back, and the little cat is going crazy for some meat, and El Indio gets mad and slaps it off the bed, and I throw both hands up at him. Non, don't do that. And he doesn't even hear me as Tristessa yells at him. The great man-beast raging in the kitchen meat and slapping his daughter in her chair, clear across the room, to tumble on the floor. Her tears start starting as she realizes what he's done. I don't like El Indio for hitting the cat, but he isn't vicious about it, just merely reprimandatory, stern, justified, dealing with the cat. Kicking the cat out of his way in the parlor as he walks to his cigars and television. Old Father Time is El Indio, with the kids, the wife, the evenings at the supper table, slapping the kids away and yoinking on great meaty dinners in the dim light. Meanwhile, the cat is comfortably ensconced at Cruz's face place, where she lies at the foot of the bed, curled. But the poor little cat is one mass of fleas, but he doesn't mind. He doesn't keep scratching like American cats, but just endures. I pick him up and he's just a skinny little skeleton with great balloons of fur. Everything is so poor in Mexico, people are poor, and yet everything they do is happy and carefree no matter what it is. Tristessa is a junkie, and she goes about it skinny and carefree, where an American would be gloomy. But she coughs and complains all day, and by same law, at intervals, the cat explodes into furious scratching that doesn't help. Meanwhile, I keep smoking. My cigarette goes out, and I reach into the icon for a light from the candle flame in a glass. I hear Tristessa say something that I interpret to mean, "Ack, that stupid fool is using our altar for a light." To me, it's nothing unusual or strange. I just want a light. But perceiving the remark of maintaining belief in the remark without knowing what it was, I yelp and hold back, and instead get a light from El Indio, who then shows me later, by quick devout prairie toe with a piece of newspaper, getting his light in directly with a touch and a prayer. Perceiving the ritual, I do it too, to get my light a few minutes later. I make a little French prayer. "Excusez-moi, madame," making emphasis on dame because of the Mama, the mother of Buddhas. So I feel less guilty about my smoke, and I know all of a sudden all of us will go straight up to heaven from where we are. Like golden phantoms of angels in Goldstrap, we go hitchhiking in Deus Ex Machina to heights apocalyptic, eucalyptic, Aristophanic and divine. I suppose, and I wonder what the cat might think. To Cruz, I say, your cat is having golden thoughts. Su gata tiene penas de oro. But she doesn't understand for 1,001,000,000,000 manifold reasons swimming in the swarm of her milk thoughts, Buddha buried in the stress of her illness enduring. I wish I could communicate to all these creatures and people, in the flush of my moonshine good times, the cloudy mystery of the magic milk to be seen in mind's deep imagery, where we learn that everything is nothing, in which case they wouldn't worry anymore, except after the instant they think to worry again. All of us trembling in our mortality boots, born to die, born to die. I could write it on the wall and on walls all over America. Dove in wings of peace with her Noah menagerie moonshine eyes. Dog with clitty claws, black and shiny, to die is born, trembles in her purple eyes. Her little weak blood vessels down the ribs, yea, the ribs of Chihuahua, and Tristessa's ribs too, beautiful ribs. Her with her aunts in Chihuahua, also born to die. Beautiful to be ugly, quick to be dead, glad to be sad. And the El Indio death, born to die, the man. So he plies the needle of Saturday night, every night is Saturday night, and goes wild to wait. What else can he do? I become and I gotta go home. Every one of us, born to die. "Stop complaining," I yell to the cat as he raves on the floor and finally jumps and joins us on the bed. The hen is rubbing her long, feathery side gently, imperceptibly against my shoe tip, and I can barely feel it and look in time to recognize. What a gentle touch it is from Mother Maya. Cruz is feebly trying to say goodnight to me as I prepare to go. I've petted her several times, a pat on the shoulder, thinking that's what she wanted at the right moments, and reassured her I loved her and was on her side. But I had no side of my own. I lie to myself. I've wondered what Tristessa thought of my patting her. For a while I almost thought she was her mother. One wild moment of divined this. Tristessa and El Indio are brother and sister, and this is their mother, and they're driving her crazy, yakking in the night about poison and morphine. Then I realized, Cruz is a junkie too, uses 3 gramos a month. She'll be on the same time and antenna of their dream trouble. Moaning and groaning, they'll all 3 go through the rest of their lives sick. Addiction and affliction. Like diseases of the mad, insane inside encephalitises of the brain, where you knock out your health purposely to hold a feeling of feeble chemical gladness that has no basis in anything but the thinking mind, gnosis. They will certainly change me the day they try to lay morphine on me, and on ye. Though the shot has done me some good, and I haven't touched the bottle since, a kind of weary gladness has come over me, tinged with wild strength. The morphine has gentilized my concerns, but I'd rather not have it for the weakness it brings to my ribs. I shall have them bashed in. I don't want no morphine after this, I vow, and I yearn to get away from all the morphine talk which, after sporadic listens, has finally wearied me. I get up to go. El Indio will go with me, walk me to the corner, though at first he argues with them as though he wanted to stay or wanted something further. We go out quickly. Tristessa closes the door in back of us. I don't even give her a close look. Just a glance as she closes, indicating I'll see her later. I go down the wild streets of Redondas, in the rain. It hasn't started increasing yet. I push through and dodge through moils of activity with whores by the hundreds, lined up along the walls of Panama Street in front of their crib cells, where Big Mamacita sits near the cocina pottery. As you leave, they ask a little for the pig who also represents the kitchen. Taxis are slanting by. Plotters are aiming for the dark. The whores are nooking the night with their crooking fingers of come on. Young men pass and give them the once-over. Arm in arm in crowds, the young Mexicans are kabash, buddying down the main girl street. Hair hanging over their eyes, drunk. Borracho, long-legged brunettes in tight yellow dresses grab them and sock their pelvises in, and pull their lapels and plead. The boys wobble. The cops down the street pass idly, like figures on little wheel thucks, rolling by invisibly under the sidewalk. One look through the bar where the children gape, and one through the whore boy bar of queers where spidery heroes perform whore dances in turtleneck sweaters for assembled critical elders of 22. Look through both holes and see the eye of the criminal in heaven. I plow through digging the scene, swinging my bag with the bottle in it. I twist and give the whores a few twisting looks as I walks. They send me stereotyped sound waves of scorn from cussin' doorways. I'm starving. I start eating El Indio's sandwich he gave me, which at first I sought to refuse so as to leave it for the cat. But El Indio insisted it was a present for me. So I nakedly breast high in one delicate hold as I walk along the street. Seeing the sandwich, I begin to eat it, finishing it. I start buying tacos as I run by, any kind, any stand where they yell, Joven! I buy stinking livers of sausages chopped in black white onions steaming hot in grease that crackles on the inverted fender of the grill. I pass Plaza Garibaldi, the hot spot of the police. Strained crowds are grouping in narrow streets around quiet musicians that only later faintly you hear cornering round the block. Marimbas are drumming in the big bars. Rich men, poor men, and wide hats mingle, come out of swinging doors, spitting cigar butts and clapping big hands over their jock, as though they were about to dive in a cold brook, guilty. Up the side streets, dead buses waddling in the mud holes, spots of fiery yellow whore dress in the dark, assembled leaners, and up against the wall lovers of the loving Mexican night. Pretty girls passing, every age. All the comic gordos and me turn to watch them. They're too beautiful to bear. All kinds of crazy gangs are assembled. Chief gleeful leaders getting high on gang leadership wear crazy woolen Scandinavian ski hats over their zoot paraphernalias and pachuku haircuts. Other gangs of semi-hipsters hide in front of nightclub bars with ronks and noise inside. I fly by with one quick Walt Whitman look at all that fire to roll. It starts raining harder. I've got a long way to go, walking and pushing that sore right leg along in the gathering rain. No chance, no intention whatever of hailing a cab. The whiskey and the morphine have made me unruffled by the sickness of the poison in my heart. When you have no more numbers in Nirvana, then there won't be such a thing as numberless. But the crowds on San Juan Latran were like numberless. I say, count all these sufferings from here to the end of the endless sky, which is no sky, and see how many you can add together to make a figure to impress the boss of dead souls in the meat manufactory in the city, every one of them in pain and born to die, milling in the streets at 2 a.m. underneath those imponderable skies. Their enormous endlessness, the sweep of the Mexican plateau away from the moon, living but to die. The sad song of it I hear sometimes on my roof in the Tellado district. Living but to die. Here we wait on this shelf, and up in the heaven is all that gold open caramel. Ope my door. Diamond sutra is the sky. I crash along drunkenly and bleakly. You're nuts, I yell to the crowds in English. You don't know what in the hell you're doing in this eternity. Bell rope towers swing to the puppeteer of Magada, Marat the tempter, insane. And you all eagle and you beagle and you buy, and you bingle, you baffle, and you lie. You poor mother and blokes pouring through the juice parade of your Main Street night. You don't know that the Lord has arranged everything in sight, including your death. And nothing's happening. I am not me, you are not ye. They unnumbered are not they, and one unnumbered self, there is no such thing. The winners of tonight's ball game in the open midst, outside Takabara Bavak, are romping by in the street swinging their baseball bats at the crowd, showing how great they can hit, and the crowd walks unconcernedly around, because they are children, not juvenile delinquents. They pull their beak baseball hats tight-hawk down their faces, in the drizzle. Tapping their glove, they wonder, did I make a bad play in the 5th inning? Didn't I make it up with that hit the 7th inning? I turn off at these last bars, and it really starts raining hard, and I walk fast as I can and come to a big puddle, and jump out of it all wet and jump right in again and cross it. The morphine prevents me from feeling the wet. My skin and limbs are numb, like a kid when he goes skating in water, falls through ice, runs home with skates under his arm so he won't catch cold. I come up gorgeous Orizaba Street after crossing wide, muddy parks near Sin Mexico, and the dismal trolley street called after dismal General Obregon in the rainy night, with roses in his mother's hair. Orizaba Street has a magnificent fountain and pool in a green park, and a round O-turn in residential splendid shape of stone and glass, and old grills and scrolly-whirly lovely majesties, that when looked at by the moon blend with magic inner Spanish gardens of an architecture, if architecture you will, designed for lovely nights at home. Andalusian in intention. The fountain is not spraying water at 2 a.m., and as though it would have to in the driving rain, and me rolling by there sitting on my railroad switch block passing over pinking sparking switches and tracks of underneath the earth like the cops on the little horse street 35 blocks back and way downtown. It's the dismal rainy night caught up with me. My hair is dripping water, my shoes are slopping, but I have my jacket on, and it is soaking on the outside, but it is rain repellent. Why I bought it back in Richmond Bank, I'm telling heroes about it later, in a little kid dream. I run on home, walking past the bakery where they don't at 2 a.m. anymore make late-night donuts. Twisters taken out of ovens and soaked in syrup and sold to you through the bakery window for 2 cents apiece, and I'd buy baskets of them in my younger days. Closed now. Rainy night Mexico City of the present contains no roses, and no fresh hot donuts, and it's bleak. I cross the last street, slow down and relax, letting out breath and stumbling on my muscles. Now I go in, death or no death, and sleep the sweet sleep of white angels. But my door is locked, my street door. I have no key for it. All lights are out. I stand there dripping in the rain with no place to dry up and sleep. I see there's a light in old Bull Gaines's window, and I go over and amazedly look in, just see his golden curtain. I realize, if I can't get in my own place, then I'll just knock out Bull's window and sleep in his easy chair. Which I do, knocking, and he comes out of the dark embellishment of about 20 people, in his bathrobe, walks through the little bit of rain between building and the door, comes and snaps open the iron door. I go in after him. Can't get in my own place, I say. He wants to know what Tristessa said about tomorrow, when they get more stuff from the black market, the red market, the Indian market. So it's all right with old Bull. I sleep and stay in his room, till the street doors open at 8 a.m., I add, and suddenly decide to curl up on the floor with a flimsy coverlet, which, instantly is done, is like a bed of soft fleece, and I lay there divine, legs all tired and clothes partly wet, and wrapped in old Bull's big towel robe like a ghost in a Turkish bath. And the whole journey in the rain done, all I have to do is lie dreaming on the floor. I curl up and start sleeping, in the middle of the night now, with a small yellow bulb on and rain crashing outside. Old Bull Gaines has closed shutters tight, is smoking cigarette after cigarette, and I can't breathe in the room, and he's coughing, the dry junkie cough, like a protest, like yelling, "Wake up!" He lies there, thin, emaciated, long-nosed, strangely handsome and gray-haired, and lean and mangy, 22 in his derelict worldling. Student of souls and cities, he calls himself. Decapitated and bombed out by morphine frame. He had all the guts in the world. He starts munching on candy. I lay there waking up realizing that old Bull is munching on candy noisily in the night. All the sides to this dream. Annoyed, I glance anxiously around and see him working and munching on candy after candy. What a preposterous thing to do at 4 a.m. in your bed. Then at 4:30 he's up and boiling down a couple of capsules of morphine in a spoon. You see him. After the shot, he's been sucked in and siphoned out, with big glad tongue licking so he can spit out the blackened bottom of the spoon and rub it clean and silver with a piece of paper, using, to really polish the spoon, a pinch of ashes. And he lays back, feeling it a little. It takes 10 minutes, a muscle bang. By about 20 minutes, he might feel all right. If not, there he is rustling in his drawer, waking me up again, and he's looking for his goofballs so he can sleep. Why do I have to sin and do the sign of the cross? Not one of the vast accumulation of conceptions from beginningless time through the present and into the never-ending future, not one of them is graspable. I stand looking at Tristessa. She's come to visit me in my room. She won't sit down, she stands and talks. In the candlelight, she is excited and eager and beautiful and radiant. I sit down on the bed, looking down on the stony floor while she talks. I don't even listen to what she's saying, about junk, old bull, how she's tired. I go in tomorrow. She taps to emphasize me with her hand, so I have to say, go ahead. And she goes on with her story, which I don't understand. I just can't look at her for fear of thoughts I'll get. But she takes care of all that for me. She says, yes, we are in pain. I say, la vida es dolor. Life is pain. She agrees. She says life is love, too. When you got 1,000,000 pesos, I don't care how many, they don't move, she says, indicating my paraphernalia of leather-covered scriptures and Sears Roebuck envelopes with stamps and airmail envelopes inside, as though I had 1,000,000 pesos hiding in time in my floor. 1,000,000 pesos does not move. But when you've got the friend give it to you in the bed, she says, legs spread a little, pumping with her loins in the air in the direction of my bed, to indicate how much better a human being is than 1,000,000 paper pesos. I think of the inexpressible tenderness of receiving this holy friendship from the sacrificial sick body of Tristessa, and I almost feel crying or grabbing her and kissing her. A wave of loneliness passes over me, remembering past loves and bodies and beds, and the unbeatable surge when you go into your beloved deep and the whole world goes with you. Though we know the Mara, the tempter, is evil, his fields of temptation are innocent. How could Tristessa, rousing passion in me, have anything to do, except as a field of merit or a dupe of innocence or a material witness to my murderous lust? How could she be blamed, and how could she be sweeter than standing there explaining my love directly with her pantomiming thighs? She's high. She keeps trying at the lapel of her kimono, underneath a slip that shows, and trying to attach it unattachably to an inexistent button of the coat. I look into her eyes, deep, meaning, would you be my friend like that? And she looks straight at me, pools of neither this or that, her combination of reluctance to break her personal disgust covenant moreover lodged in the Virgin Mary. And her love of wish for me makes her as mysterious as the Tathagata, whose form is described as being inexistent, rather as inscrutable as the direction in which a put-out fire has gone. I can't get a yes or no out of her eyes for the time I allot to them. Very nervous, I sit, stand, sit. She stands explaining further things. I'm amazed by the way her skin wrinkles, oh so sensitively down the bridge of her nose, in even clean lines, and her little laugh of delight that comes so rarely, and so little girlishly, child of glee. It's all my own sin if I make a play for her. I want to take her in both hands by the waist and pull her slowly close with a few choice words of sudden endearment like, "Mi Gloria Angela," or "me whichever it is." But I have no language to convert my embarrassment. Worst of all, would it be to have her push me aside and say, "No, no, no." Like disappointed mustachioed heroes in French movies being turned out by the little blonde who is the brakeman's wife, by a fence and smoke, midnight in the French railroad yards. And I turn away a big pained lover face and apologize, going away thence with the sensation that I have a beastly streak in me I didn't notice, conceptions common to all young lovers and old. I don't want to discuss Tristessa. It would horrify me to cause her ruinous flesh-petal tender secrets, and have her wake up in the morning lodged against the back of some unwelcome man who loves by night and sleeps it off, and wakes up blearing to shave, and by his very presence causes consternation where before there was absolute perfect purity of nobody. But what I've missed when I don't get that friend lunge of the lover's body, coming right at me, all mine. But it was a slaughterhouse for meat, and all you do is bend to wreak havocs in Something's Gotta Give of girlyhood. When Tristessa was 12 years old, suitors twisted her arm in the sun outside the mother's cooking door. I've seen it 1,000,000 times. In Mexico, the young men want the girls. Their birth rate is terrific. They turn them out wailing and dying by the golden tons, in vats of semi-winery, Musafris of Oi Ole Tokyo birth crib. I lost track of my thought there. Poor Tristessa is swaying there, explaining all her troubles. How she hasn't got enough money, she's sick. She'll be sick in the morning, and in the look of her eye I caught perhaps the gesture of a shadow of acceptance of the idea of me as a lover. Only time I ever saw Tristessa cry was when she was junk sick on the edge of old Bull's bed. Like a woman in the back pew of a church, in daily novena, she dabs at her eyes. She points to the sky again. If my friend don't pay me back, looking at me straight, my Lord pay me back more. And I feel the Spirit enter the room as she stands, waiting with her finger pointed up, on her spread legs, confidently, for her Lord to pay her back. So I give everything I have to my friend, and if he don't pay me back, she shrugs, my Lord pay me back, standing alert again, more. And as the Spirit swims around the room, I can tell the effective mournful horror of it. Her reward is so thin. Now I see radiating from the crown of her head innumerable hands that have come from all 10 quarters of the universe to bless her and pronounce her Bodhiist for saying and knowing that so well. Her enlightenment is perfect, and we are nothing, you and me. She pokes at my chest. Jew, Mexican saying you, and me, pointing at herself. We are nothing. Tomorrow we may die, and so we are nothing. I agree with her. I feel the strangeness of that truth. I feel we are two empty phantoms of light, or like ghosts in old haunted house stories, diaphanous and precious and white and not there. She says, I know you want to sleep. No, I say, seeing she wants to leave. I go to sleep. Early in the mornings, I go to see the mans and get the morphina and come back for old Bull. And since we are nada, nothing, I forget what she said about friends, all lost in the beauty of her strange, intelligent imagery, every bit true. She's an angel, I think secretly, and escort her to the door with movement of arm as she leans to the door, talking to go out. We are careful not to touch each other. I tremble. Once I jumped a mile when her fingertip hit my knee in conversations, at chairs. The first afternoon I'd seen her, in dark glasses, in the sunny afternoon window by a candlelight lit for kicks, sick kicks of life, smoking, beautiful, like the owner damsel of Las Vegas, or the revolutionary heroine of Marlon Brando's Zapata, Mexico, with Culiacan heroes and all. That's when she got me. In afternoon space, of gold the look, the sheer beauty like silk, the children giggling, me blushing at Guy's house, where we first found Tristessa and started all this. Sympathicus Tristessa, with her heart a gold gate. I'd first dug to be an evil enchantress. I'd run across a saint in modern Mexico arid. Here I was fantasizing dreams away about foreordained orders for nothing and necessary betrayals. The betrayal of the old father when he entices by ruse the 3 little crazy kids screaming and playing in the burning house. I'll give each one of you your favorite cart. Out they come running for the carts. He gives them the high, incomparable great cart of the single-vehicle white bullock, which they're too young to appreciate. With that great cart command, he'd made me an offer. I look at Tristessa's leg, and we decide to avoid the issue of fate and rest beyond heaven. I play games with her fabulous eyes, and she longs to be in a monastery. Leave Tristessa alone, I say. Anyway, like I'd say leave the kitty alone, don't hurt it. And I open her the door, so we can go out at midnight from my room. In my hand I stumble awkwardly, hold big railroad brakeman lantern to her feet as we descend the perilous, needless to say steps. She'd almost tripped coming up. She moaned, and she groaned coming up. She smiled and minced with her hand on her skirt going down, with that majestical, lovely slowness of woman, like a Chinese Victoria. We are nothing. Tomorrow we may die. We are nothing, you and me. I politely lead all the way down by light, and lead her out to the street, where I hail her a white taxi for her home. Since beginninglessness, time, and into never-ending future, men have loved women without telling them, and the Lord has loved them without telling, and the void is not the void because there's nothing to be empty of. Art there, Lord Star? Diminished is the drizzle that broke my calm. A year later. Diminished never is the drizzle that broke no calm. I didn't tell her I loved her, but when I left Mexico, I began to think on her, and then I began to tell her I loved her in letters, and almost did, and she wrote too, pretty Spanish letters, saying I was sweet and please hurry back. I hurried back too late. I should have come back in the spring, almost did, had no money. Just touched the border of Mexico and felt that vomity feeling of Mexico. Went on to California and lived in a shack with young monk Buddhist-type visitors every day, and went north to Desolation Park, and spent a summer surfing in the wilderness, eating and sleeping alone, said, soon I go back to the warm arms of Tristessa, but waited too long. Oh Lord, why have you done this to your angel selves, this blight life, this raggedy crap scene full of puke and thieves and dying? Couldn't you have placed us in a dismal heaven, Or all was glad anyhow? Art thou masochist lord? Art thou Indian giver? Art thou hater? Finally I was back in Bull's room after a 4,000-mile voyage from the mountain peak near Canada. A terrible enough trip in itself, not worth moot herein, and he went out and got her. Already he'd warned me. I don't know what's the matter with her. She's changed in the past 2 weeks. The past week even. Is that because she knew I was coming? I thought darkly. She throws fits and hits me over the head with coffee cups and loses my money and falls in the street. What's the matter with her? Goofballs. I told her not to take too many. You know it takes an old junkie with many years of experience to know how to handle sleeping pills. She won't listen. She don't know how to use them 3, 4, sometimes 5, once 12. It's not the same Tristessa. What I want to do is marry her and get my citizenship. See, you think that's a good idea? After all, she's my life. I'm her life. I could see old Bull had fallen in love with a woman not named Morphina. I never touch her. It's just a marriage of convenience. You know what I mean. I can't be getting stuff on the black market myself. I don't know how. I need her and she needs my money. Bull got $150 a month from a trust fund established by his father before he died. His father had loved him, and I could know why. For Bull is a sweet and tender person. Though just a little of the con man, for years in New York, he supported his junk habit by stealing about $30 every day, 20 years. He'd been in jail a few times when they'd found him with the wrong merchandise. In jail he was always the librarian. He's a great scholar, in many ways, with a marvelous interest in history and anthropology. Marlomé above all. I'm not talking of the other Bull, who was the great writer who wrote Junkie. This is another Bull, older, almost 60. I wrote poems in his room all last summer when Tristessa was mine, and I wouldn't take her. I had some silly, ascetic, or celibacious notion that I must not touch a woman. My touch might have saved her. Now too late. He brings her home, and right away I see something is wrong. She comes tottering in on his arm and gives a weak, thank God for that, smile and holds out her arm rigidly. I don't know what to do but hold her arm up. What's the matter with Tristessa? Is she sick? All last month she was paralyzed down one whole leg and her arms were covered with cysts. Oh, she was an awful sick girl last month. What's the matter with her now? Shh, let her sit down. Tristessa is holding me and slowly levels her sweet brown cheek against mine, with a rare smile, and I'm playing the befuddled American almost consciously. Look, I'll save her yet. Trouble is, what would I do with her once I'd won her? It's like winning an angel in hell, and you are then entitled to go down with her to where it's worse. Or maybe there'll be light, some, down there. Maybe it's me, crazy. She's going crazy, says Bull. Those goofballs will do it to everybody. To you, anybody, I don't care who. In fact, Bull himself took too many 2 nights later and proved it. The problem of junkies, narcotic addicts, bless their souls, bless their quiet, thoughtful souls, is to get it. On all sides, they're balked. They're continually unhappy. If the government gave me enough morphine every day, I would be completely happy, and I would be completely willing to work as a male nurse in a hospital. I even sent the government my ideas on the subject in a letter from 38, from Lexington, how to solve the narcotic problem by putting junkies to work with their daily doses, cleaning the subways, anything, as long as they get their medicine, they're all right, just like any other sick people. It's like alcoholics. They need medicine. I can't remember everything that happened except for last night, so fateful, so horrible, so mad and sad. Better to do it that way. Why build up? It all started out with Bull being out of morphine, sick, a little too many goofballs he'd taken, seconals, to make up for the morphine lack, and so he's acting like a baby, sloppy, like senile, not quite as bad as the night he slept in my bed on the roof, because Tristessa had gone mad and was breaking everything in his room, and hitting him and falling on the floor right on her head, goofballs she bought in a drugstore. Bull would give her no more. The anxious landladies are hovering at the door thinking we're beating her up, but she's beating us up. The things she said to me, what she really thought of me, now came out, a year later, a year too late, and all I should have done was tell her I loved her. She accused me of being a filthy tea-head. She ordered me out of Bull's room. She tried to hit me with a bottle. She tried to take my tobacco pouch and keep it. I had to struggle with her. Bull and I hid the bread knife under the rug. She just sits there on the floor like an idiot baby, doodling with objects. She accuses me of trying to smoke marijuana out of my tobacco pouch. But it's only Bull Durham tobacco. For my roll-me-owns, because commercial cigarettes have a chemical in them to keep them firm that damage my susceptible phlebitic veins and arteries. So Bull is afraid she'll kill him in the night, We can't get her out. Previously, a week ago, he'd called cops and ambulances, and even they wouldn't get her out. Mexico. So we come sleep in my new room bed, with clean sheets, forgets that he's already taken 2 goofballs and takes 2 more, and thereupon goes blind, can't find his cigarettes, gropes and knocks down everything, pees in the bed, spills coffee I bring him. I have to sleep on the floor of stone among bedbugs and cockroaches. I revile him all night, poutingly. Look what you're doing to my nice clean bed. I can't help it. I gotta find another cap. Is this a cap? He holds up a matchstick and thinks it's a capsule of morphine. Bring me your spoon. He's going to boil it down and shoot it. Lord, in the morning at gray time he finally leaves and goes down to his room, stumbling with all his things, including a Newsweek he could have never read. I dump his cans of pee in the toilet. It's all pure blue, like the blue Sir of Joshua Reynolds. I think, my God, he's got to be dying. But turns out they were cans of washing bluing. Meanwhile, Tristessa has slept and feels better, and somehow they stumble around and get their shots. And next day she returns and tapping in Big Bull's window. Pale and beautiful, no more an Aztec witch, and apologizes sweetly. She'll be back on goofballs in a week, says Bull. But I'm not giving her any more. He swallows one himself. Why do you take 'em? I yell. Because I know how. I've been a junkie for 40 years. Comes then the fateful night. I've already finally in a cab and once on the street told Tristessa I love her. Yo te amo. No reply. She lies to Bull and tells him I propositioned her, saying, You slept with a lot of men, why not sleep with me? No such thing I ever said, just yo te amo. Because I do love her. But what to do with her? She never used to lie before the goofballs. In fact, she used to pray and go to church. I've given up on Tristessa, and this afternoon, Bull's sick. We get a cab and go down into the slums to find El Indio, the black bastard he's called in the trade, who always has something. It's always been my secret hunch that El Indio loves Tristessa too. He has beautiful grown daughters. He lies in a bed behind flimsy curtains, with the door wide open to the world, high on M. His elder wife sits anxiously in a chair. Icons burn. Arguments take place, groans, all under the endless Mexican skies. We come to his pad, and his old wife tells us she is his wife. We didn't know. And he's not in, so we sit on the stone steps of the crazy courtyard full of screaming children and drunks, and women with wash and banana peels, you'd think, and wait there. Bull is so sick he has to go home. Tall, humped, wizard, cadaver-like he goes, leaving me sitting drunk on the stone, drawing pictures of the children in my little notebook. Then out comes a host of some kind, a portly, friendly man, with a water glass of pulque, 2 glasses. He insists I chug-a-lug mine with his. I do. Bang, down, the cactus juice dripping from my lips. He beats me to the draw. Women laugh. There's a big kitchen. He brings me more. I drink and draw the children. I offer money for the pulque, but they won't take it. It starts to grow dark in the courtyard. I've already swallowed a 5th of wine on the way down. It's one of my drinking days. I've been bored and sad and lost. For 3 days I've been painting and drawing with pencil, chalk, and watercolors, my first formal try, and I'm exhausted. I've sketched a little bearded Mexican artist in his roof hut, and he tore the picture out of the old big notebook to keep it. We drank tequila in the morning, we drew each other. Of me, he drew a kind of tourist sketch, showing how young and handsome and American I am. I don't understand. He wants me to buy it? Of him I draw a terrible apocalyptic black bearded face. Also his body tinnily twisted on the edge of the couch. Oh, heaven and posterity will judge all this art, whatever it is. So I'm drawing one particular little boy who won't stand still, then I start drawing the Virgin Madonna. More fellows appear, and they invite me into a big room where a big white table is covered with pulque cups, and on the floor open urns of it. Amazing the faces in there, I think. I'll have a good time, and meanwhile, I'm right on El Indio's doorstep, and I'll catch him for Bull when he comes home, and Tristessa will come too. Borracho, we drain big cups of cactus juice, and there's an old singer with guitar with his young disciple boy, with thick sensitive lips and a big fat hostess woman, like out of Rabelais and Rembrandt, Middle Ages, who sings. The leader of this huge gang of 15 appears to be Pancho Villa at the table end, perfectly round and jocund, but Mexican owlish, with crazy eyes, I think, and a wild red checked shirt, and like always ecstatically happy. But beside him other more sinister lieutenants of some sort. To them I look down table right dead in the eye and toast, and even ask, ¿Qué es la vida? What is life? to prove I'm philosophical and smart. Meanwhile, a man in a blue suit and blue hat appears the most friendly. He beckons me to the toilet for a swaying talk over urine. He locks the door. His eyes are sunken deep in pudgy battered W.C. Fields sockets. Sockets, too clean a word. But a wicked pair of funny eyes, also a hypnotist. I keep staring at him. I keep liking him. I like him so much that when he takes my wallet out and counts my money, I laugh. I fiddle a little bit trying to get it back. He holds off counting. Others are trying to get in the toilet. "This is Mexico," says he. "We stay here if we like." When he hands me back my wallet, I see my money still in it, but I swear on the Bible, on God, on Buddha, on all that was supposed to be holy, in real life, there was no more money in that wallet. Wallet, schmallet, just a leather fold case for traveler's checks. He leaves me some money because later I give 20 pesos to a big fat guy and tell him to go out and get some marijuana for the whole group. He too keeps taking me to the toilet for earnest confabs. Somehow my dark glasses disappear. Finally, Blue Hat, in front of everybody, simply snatches my notebook out of my bull's coat, like a joke, pencil and all, and slips it in his own coat and stares at me, wicked and funny. I really can't help laughing, but then I do say, come on, give me back my poems. And I reach into his coat and he twists away, and I reach again and he won't. I turn to the most distinguished-looking man there, in fact the only one, who is sitting next to me. "Will you undertake the responsibility of getting my poems back?" He says he will, without understanding what I'm saying, but I drunkenly assume he will. Meanwhile, in a blind dazzle of ecstasy, I throw 50 pesos on the floor to prove something. Later I throw 2 pesos on the floor, saying, "It's for the music." They end up feeding that to the 2 musicians, but I'm too proud after reconsideration to start looking around for my 50 pesos too. But you will see that this is just a case of wanting to be robbed. A strange kind of exultation and drunken power. I don't care about money. I'm the king of the world. I will lead your little revolutions myself. This I begin to work on by making friends with Pancho Villa. And brother, there's a lot of knocking of cups and arm around chug-a-lugs down and song. And by this time I'm too stupid to check my wallet, but every cent is gone. I take great pride, meanwhile, in showing how I appreciate the music. I even drum on the table. Finally, I go out with Fat Boy to talk in the toilet. As we're coming out, here comes a strange woman up the steps, unearthly and pale, slow, majestic. Neither young nor old. I can't help staring at her, even when I realize it's Tristessa. I keep staring and wondering at this strange woman. And it seems that she has come to save me, but she's only coming for a shot from El Indio, who, by the way, had by now, on his own accord, gone to Bulls 2 miles away. I leave the gay gang of thieves and follow my love. She's wearing a long, dirty dress and a shawl, and her face is pale, little rings under the eyes. That thin patrician, slowly hawk nose, those luscious lips, those sad eyes, and the music of her voice, the complaint of her song when she talks in Spanish to others. Ah, sacristy, the sad, mutilated blue Madonna is Tristessa, and for me to keep saying that I love her is a bleeding lie. She hates me and I hate her, make no bones about it. I hate her because she hates me, no other reason. She hates me because I don't know, I guess I was too pious last year. She keeps yelling, "Don't care," and hits us over the head and goes out and sits on the curb in the street and doodles and sways. Nobody dares approach the woman with her head between her knees. Tonight, though, I can see she's all right, quiet, pale, walking straight, coming up the stone steps of the thieves. Tristessa and I go down the slippery garbage street of dull brown Coke stand lights and distant dim blue and rose neons, like rubbed chalk crayon, of Santa Maria de Redondas, where we hook up with poor, bedraggled, wild-looking crews and start off somewhere. I have my arm around Tristessa's waist and walk sadly with her. Tonight she doesn't hate me. Cruz always liked me and still does. In the past year she has caused poor old Bull every kind of trouble with her drunk shenanigans. Oh, there's been pulk and vomiting in the streets and groans under heaven, spattered angel wings covered with the pale blue dirt of heaven. Angels in hell are wings huge in the dark. The 3 of us start off, and from the golden eternal heaven bends God blessing us with his face, which I can only describe as being infinitely sorry, compassionate, that is, infinite with understanding of suffering. The sight of that face would make you cry. The drinks don't help much. It's getting late, towards dawn. The chill of the high plateau gets into my little sleeveless shirt and a loose sports coat, and shino pants, and I start shivering uncontrollably. Nothing helps. Drink after drink. Nothing helps. At one point, Tristessa kisses me gently on the lips, the softest, just touchingest kiss in the world, and I receive it with amazement. I've made up my mind to stay with her and sleep where she sleeps, even if she sleeps in a garbage can in a stone cell with rats. But I keep shivering. No amount of wrapping in can do it. For a year now, I've been spending every night in my sleeping bag, and I'm no longer inured to ordinary dawn chills of the earth. At one point, I fall right off the crate I occupy with Tristessa, land in the sidewalk, stay there. Other times, I'm up haranguing long, mysterious conversations with the two cats. What on earth are they trying to say and do? Cruz sleeps in the street. Her hair hangs out all black across the road. People step over her. It's the end. Dawn comes gray. People start passing to go to work. Soon the pale light begins to reveal the incredible colors of Mexico. Pale blue shawls of women, the deep purple shawls, the lips of people faintly rosette in general aubille blue. What we waiting for? Where are we going? I'd keep asking. I go get my shot, she says. Gets me another hot punch, which goes down shivering through me. One of the ladies is asleep. The dealer with ladle is beginning to get sore because apparently I've drank more than Tristessa paid or the two cats or something. Many people in carts pass. Vámonos, says Tristessa, getting up. And we wake up ragged, Cruz, and waver a minute standing, and go off in the streets. Now you can see to the ends of the streets. No more garbanzo darkness, it's all pale blue churches and pale people in pink shawls. We move along and come to rubbly fields, and cross and come to a settlement of adobe huts. It's a village and a city by itself. We meet a woman and go into a room, and I figure we'll finally sleep in here, but the two beds are loaded with sleepers and wakers. We just stand there talking, leave, and go down the alley past waking up doors. Everybody curious to see the two ragged girls and the raggedy man, stumbling like a slow team in the dawn. The sun comes up orange over piles of red brick and plaster dust somewhere. It's the wee North America of my Indian dreams, but now I'm too gone to realize anything or understand. All I want to do is sleep next to Tristessa. She in her skimpy pink dress, her little breastless body, her thin shanks, her beautiful thighs. But I'm willing to just sleep, but I'd like to hold her and stop shivering under some vast, dark brown Mexican blanket, with Cruz too, on the other side, to chaperone. I just want to stop this insane wandering in the streets. But as we're standing there, Tristessa suddenly says, "Yak, me, all night," and she starts imitating my shiver in the all-night street. At first I laugh, sun's yellow hot now on my coat, but I feel alarmed to see her imitate my shiver with such convulsive earnestness, and Cruz notices too and says, "Stop, Tristessa." But she goes on, her eyes wild and white, shivering her thin body in the coat. Her legs begin to crumple. I reach out laughing, "Ah, come on." She gets more shivery and convulsive, and suddenly, as I'm thinking, how can she love me making fun of me seriously like that? She starts to fall, which imitation is going too far. I try to grab her. She bends way down to the ground and hangs a minute, just like descriptions Bull had given me of heroin addicts nodding down to their shoe tops on Fifth Avenue in the 20s. Way down till their head hung completely from their necks, and there was nowhere to go but up or flat down on the head. And to my pain and crash, Tristessa just bonks her skull and falls headlong, right on the harsh stone, and collapses. "Oh no, Tristessa!" I cry and grab her under the arms and twist her over and sit her in my haunches as I hunch against the wall. She's breathing heavily, and suddenly I see blood all over her coat. She's dying, I think. Suddenly, she's decided now to die. This insane morning, this insane minute. And here's the old man with the pleading eyes still looking at me with his broom, and men and women going in for anisette, stepping right over us, with gingerly unconcerned, but slowly, scarcely glancing down. I put my head to hers, cheek to cheek, and hold her tight, and say, "Non, non." And what I mean is, don't die. Cruz is on the ground with us on the other side, crying. I hold Tristessa by her little ribs and pray. Blood now trickles out of her nose and mouth. No one's going to move us out of that doorway, this I swear. I realize I'm there to refuse to let her die. We get water on my big red bandana and mop her a little. After whiles of convulsive shuddering, suddenly she becomes extremely calm and opens her eyes and even looks up. She won't die. I feel it. She won't die. Not in my arms, not right now. But I feel, too, she must know that I've refused, and now she'll be expecting me to show her something better than that, than death's eternal ecstasy. Oh, golden eternity. And as I know death is best, but non, I love you. Don't die. Don't leave me. I love you too much. Because I love you, isn't that enough reason to try to live? Oh, the gruesome destiny of we human beings. Each one of us will suddenly, at some terrible moment, die and frighten all our lovers and carry in the world and crack the world. And all the heroin addicts and all the yellow cities and sandy deserts cannot care, and they'll die too. Tristessa now tries to get up. I raise her by little broken armpits. She leans. We adjust her coat, poor coat. We wipe off a little blood. Start off in the yellow Mexican morning, not dead. I let her walk by herself ahead of us, lead the way. She does so through incredibly dirty, staring streets full of dead dogs, past gawking children and old women and old men in dirty rags, out to a field of rocks, across that we stumble, slowly. I can sense it now in her silence. This is what you give me instead of death? I try to know what to give her instead. No such thing better than death. All I can do is stumble behind her. Sometimes I briefly lead the way, but I'm not much the figure of the man who leads the way. But I know she is dying now, either from epilepsy or heart, shock, or goofball convulsion. And because of that, no landlady is going to stop me from taking her home to my room on the roof and letting her sleep and rest under my open sleep bag, with Cruz and me both. I tell her that. We get a cab and start to Bull's. We get off there. They wait in the cab as I knock on his window for the money for the cab. You can't bring Cruz here, he yells. Neither one of 'em. He hands me the money. I pay the cab. The girls get out. And there's Bull's big sleepy face in the door saying, No, the kitchen is full of women. They'll never let you through. But she's dying. I've got to take care of her. I turn and I see both their coats. The back of their coats have majestically, Mexicanly, womanly turned, with immense dignity, streaks of dust and all, street plaster and all. Together, the two ladies go down the sidewalk slowly, the way Mexican women eye French-Canadian women go to church in the morning. There is something unalterable in the way both their coats have turned on the women in the kitchen, on Bull's worried face, on me. I run after them. Tristessa looks at me seriously. I go down to Indio for to get a shot, and in that way normal out the way she always says that, as if, I guess, I'm a liar, watch out. As if she means it and really wants to go get that shot. And I had said to her, I want to sleep where you sleep tonight. But fat chance of me getting into Indio's or even herself. His wife hates her. They walk majestically. I hesitate majestically. With majestic cowardice, fearing the women in the kitchen who have barred Tristessa from the house for breaking everything in one of her goofball fits, and barred her above all from passing through that kitchen, the only way to my room, up narrow ivory tower winding iron steps that shiver and shake. They'd never let you through, yells Bull from the door. Let 'em go. One of the landladies is on the sidewalk. I'm too ashamed and drunk to look her in the eye. But I'll tell them she's dying. Come in here, yells Bull. I turn. They've got their bus at the corner. She's gone. Either she'll die in my arms, or I'll hear about it. What shroud was the reason why darkness and heaven commingled to come and lay the mantle of sorrow on the hearts of Bull, El Indio, and me, who all three love her and weep in our thoughts and know she will die. 3 men from 3 different nations, in the yellow morning of black shawls. What was the angelic demonic power that devised this? What's going to happen? At night, little Mexican cop whistles blow that all is well, and all is all wrong, all is tragic, I don't know what to say. I'm only waiting to see her again. And only last year she'd stood in my room and said, a friend is better than pesos, a friend that'd give it to you in the bed. When still she believed anyway we'd get our tortured bellies together and get rid of some of the pain. Now too late. Too late. In my room at night, the door open, I watched to see her come in as if she could get through that kitchen of women. and for me to go looking for her in Mexico, Thieves' Market. That's I suppose we'll have to do. Liar. I'm a liar. And supposing I go find her and she wants to hit me over the head again. I know it's not her, it's the goofballs. But where could I take her? And what would it solve to sleep with her? A softest kiss from palest rose lips I did get. In the street, another one of those, and I'm gone. My poems stolen, my money stolen, my Tristessa dying, Mexican buses trying to run me down, grit in the sky. I never dreamed it could be this bad. And she hates me. Why does she hate me? Because I'm so smart. As sure as you're sitting there, Bull keeps saying since that morning, Tristessa'll be back tapping on that window on the 13th for money for her connection. He wants her to come back. El Indio comes over, in black hat, sad, manly, Mayan stern, preoccupied. Where is Tristessa? I ask. He says, hands out, I don't know. Her blood is on my pants like my conscience. But she comes back sooner than we expect, on the night of the 9th, right while we're sitting there talking about her. She taps on the window, but not only that reaches in a crazy brown hand through the old hole, where El Indio's a month ago put his fist through in a rage over Junkless. She grabs the great rosy curtains that Bull junkie-wise hangs from ceiling to sill. She shivers and shakes them and sweeps them aside, and looks in as if to see we're not sneaking morphine shots on her. The first thing she sees is my smiling turned face. It must have disgusted the hell out of her. Bull! Bull! Bull hastily dresses to go out and talk to her in the bar across the street. She's not allowed in the house. Aw, let her in. I can't. We both go out, I first while he locks, and they're confronted by my great love on the sidewalk in the dim evening lights. All I can do is shuffle a while and wait in a line of time. How you? I do say. Okay. Her left side of face is one big dirty bandage with black caked blood. She has it hidden under her head shawl, holds it draped there. Where'd that happen? With me? No, after I leave you. 3 times I fall. She holds up 3 fingers. She's had 3 further convulsions. The cotton batting hangs down, and there are long strip tails down to almost her chin. She would look awful if she wasn't wholly Tristessa. Bull comes out, and slowly we go across the street to the bar. I run to her other side to gentleman her. Oh, what an old sister I am. It's like Hong Kong. The poorest sampan maids and mothers of the river in Chinese slacks, propelling with the Venetian steer pole and no rice in the bowl. Even they, in fact they especially have their pride, and would put down an old sister like me and oh, their beautiful little cans in sleek, shiny silk. Oh, their sad faces, high cheekbones, brown color, eyes. They look at me in the night. At all Johns in the night, it's their last resort. Oh, I wish I could write. Only a beautiful poem could do it. How frail, beat, final is Tristessa, as we load her into the quiet hostel bar, where Madame X sits counting her pesos in the back room, facing all, and a little mustachioed anxious bartender darts furtively to serve us, and I offer Tristessa a chair that will hide her sad, mutilated face from Madame X, but she refuses and sits any old way. And all the previous en salchichas and papas fritas of the year before. Ah, above, what you doing with your children? You with your sad, compassionate, and nay, would I ever say unbeautiful face? What you doing with your stolen children you stole from your mind, to think a thought because you were bored or you were mined? Shouldn't have done it, Lord. Awakened her, shouldn't have played that suffering and dying game with the children in your own mind. Shouldn't have slept. Should have whistled for the music and danced alone on a cloud, yelling to the stars you made, God, but never should have thought up and topped up, tippy-toe, Tunerville, tweaky little sorrowers like us. The children, poor crying Bull, child, when sick, and I cry too, and Tristessa who won't even let herself cry. Oh, what was the racket that backeted and smashed in raging might to make this oil puddle world? Because Tristessa needs my help, but won't take it, and I won't give it. Yet, supposing everybody in the world devoted himself to helping others all day long, because of a dream or a vision of the freedom of eternity, Then wouldn't the world be a garden? A garden of Arden full of lovers and louts and clouds, young drinkers dreaming and boasting on clouds, gods still the gods fought, devote themselves to gods don't fight and bang. Miss Goofball would ope her rosy lips and kiss in the world all day. And men would sleep, and there wouldn't be men or women, but just one sex, the original sex of the mind. But that day so close I could snap my finger and it would show, what does it care, about this recent little event called the world. I love Tristessa. Nevertheless, I have the gall to stay and say to both of them. I would have told the landladies I love Tristessa. I can tell them she's sick, she needs help. She can come sleep in my room tonight. Bull is alarmed. He opens his mouth. Oh, the old cage, he loves her. You should see her puttering around the room, cleaning up while he sits and cuts up his junk with a razor blade, or just sits saying, in long, low groans that aren't groans, but his message and song. Now I begin to realize Tristessa wants Bull to be her husband. I wanted Tristessa to be my third wife, I say later. I didn't come to Mexico to be told what to do by old sisters. Right in front of the faculty, shooting. Listen, Bull and Tristessa, if Tristessa don't care, then I don't care. At this she looks at me, with surprised, not so surprised, round she doesn't care eyes. Give me a shot of morphine so I can think the way you two do. They promptly give that to me. In the room later on. Meanwhile, I've been drinking mezcal again. All or nothing at all, says I to Bull, who repeats it. I'm not a whore, I add, and I also want to say Tristessa is not a whore. But I don't want to bring up the subject. Meanwhile, she changes completely with her shot, feels better, combs her hair to a beautiful black sheen, washes her blood, washes her whole face and hands, in a soapy wash tub like long Jim Beaver, up on the Cascades by his campfire, swoosh. And she rubs the soap thoroughly in her ears and twists fingertips in there, and makes squishy sounds, washing. Charlie didn't have a beard last night. She cowls her head again with the now brushed shawl, and turns to present us, in the light-bulbed high-ceiling room. A charming Spanish beauty with a little scar on her brow. The color of her face is really tan. She calls herself dark. But in the lights that shine, her face keeps changing. Sometimes it is jet brown, almost black-blue, beautiful, with outlines of sheeny cheek and long, sad mouth, and the bump on her nose which is like Indian women in the morning, in Nogales on a high, dry hill, the women of the various guitar, the Castilian touch, though it may only be as Castilian as old Zacatecas, it is fitting. She turns, neat, and I notice she has no body at all. It is utterly lost in a little skimpy dress. Then I realize she never eats. Her body, I think, must be beautiful. Beautiful little thing. But then Bull explains. She don't want love. You put Grace Kelly in this chair. Mucky Muck's morphine on that chair, Jack. I take the morphine. I no take the Grace Kelly. Yes, asserts Tristessa. And me? I know I want to love. I don't say nothing about love. Like I don't start singing, love is a completely endless thing. It's the April row when feelers reach for everything. And I don't sing embraceable you like Frank Sinatra, nor that towering feeling Vic Damone says, the touch of your hand upon my brow, the look in your eyes I see. No, I don't disagree or agree with this pair of love thieves. Let 'em get married and get under. Go into the sheets, go batooing in Rome, Gallo, anywhere. Me? I'm not going to marry Tristessa. Bull is. She putters around him endlessly. How strangely, while I'm lying on the bed, junk high, she comes over and cleans up the headboard with her thighs practically in my face, and I study them, and old Bull is watching out on top of his glasses to the side. Hey, Tristessa, I live with you and Bull Pay, I say finally. I don't care, she says, turning to me on the stool. It's all right with me. Won't you at least pay half of her rent? Asks Bull, noting in his notebook figures he keeps all the time. Will you say yes or no? You can go see her when you want, he adds. No, I wanted to live with her. Well, you can't do that, you haven't got the money. But Tristessa keeps looking at me, and I keep staring at her. Suddenly we love each other as Bull drones on, and I admire her openly, and she shines openly. Earlier I'd grabbed her when she said, "You remember everything the other night?" "Yes. In the street, how you kissed me?" And I show her how she'd kissed me. That little gentle brush of the lips on the lips, with just the slightest kiss to indicate kiss. She'd shined on that one. She didn't care. She had no money to take the cab home. No bus was running. We had no more money, any of us, except money in the blood bank. Money in the mud bank, Charlie. Yes, I walk home. 3 miles, 2 miles, I say. And there was that long walk through the rain I remembered. You can come up there, pointing to my room on the roof. I won't bother you. No te molesta. No te molesta. But I would leave her molest me. Old Bull is glancing over his glasses and paper. I've screwed up everything up with the mama again. Oedipus Rex, I'll tear out my eyes in the morning. San Francisco, New York, Parigi, Medu, Mantua, or anywhere. I'm always the king sucker who was made out to be the positional son in man and woman relationships. Ah, yeah, Indian howl in the night to Campo country sweet musica. King Bing, I'm always in the way for mama and papa. When am I gonna be papa? No te molesta, and 2 for Bull. My papa, I said. I'd have to be a junkie to live with Tristessa, and I can't be a junkie. Ain't nobody knows junkies like another junkie. I gulped to hear the truth, too. Besides, too, Tristessa is an old-time junkie, just like me. She no chicken and junk. Junkies are very strange persons. Then he would launch into a long story about the strange persons he's known in Rikers Island and Lexington, New York and Panama and Mexico City and Annapolis, in keeping with his strange history, which included opium dreams of strange tiered racks where girls are being fed opium through dreamy blue tubes, and similar strange episodes like all the innocent faux pas he'd made, though always with an evil greed just before it. He'd thrown up at Annapolis after a binge in the showers, and to conceal it from the officers he'd try to wash it down with the hot water. With the result, the smell permeated all of Bradley Hall, and there was a beautiful poem written about it in the newspaper of the Navy goats. He would launch into long stories, but she was there, and with her he just conducted routine junkie talk in baby Spanish, like, "You no go tomorrow, good look like that." Yes, I clean my face now. It no look good. They take one look at you and they know you taken too many seconals. Yes, I go. I brush your coat. Bull gets up and helps her clean her things. To me, he says, them artists and writers, they don't like to work, don't believe in work. As the year before, as Tristessa and Cruz and I chatted gaily with the gaiety I had last year, in the room, he's banging with a Mayan stone statue about the size of a big fist, trying to fix the door he'd broken down the night before, because he took too many goofballs and went out of his room and lock-clicked the padlock, key in the room, and him in his pajamas at 1 a.m. Wow, I do gossipy. So he yelled at me, "Come help me fix this door, I can't do this by myself." "Oh yes you can, I'm talking, you artists are all lazy bums." Now to prove I'm not like that, I get up slowly, dizzy from that shot of their love stuff, and get some water in the tin pitcher to heat on the upturned ray lamp so's Tristessa can have hot water for her wound wash. But I hand him the pitcher because I can't go through the hassle of balancing it on the flimsy wires, and anyway he's the old master, old wizard, old water witch doctor, who can do it and won't let me try it. Then I get back on the bed, prostrate. Prostate gland too, as morphine takes all the sex out of your parts and leaves it somewhere else, in your gut. Some people are all guts and no heart. I take heart. You shoot spades, you drink clubs, you blast oranges. I take heart and bat. 2, 3, 10 trillion million dizzying powder of stars fermentating in the high blue jack shaft, prop. I don't drown no buddies in oil. I got no guts to do it. Got heart not to, but the sex, when the morphine is loosed in your flesh and slowly spreads hot and headies your brain, the sex recedes into the gut. Most junkies are thin. Bull and Tristessa are both bags of bones. But oh the grace of some bones, that milt a little flesh hang on, like Tristessa, and makes a woman. And old Bull, spite of his thin, hawky body, nobody. His gray hair is well slicked and his cheek is youthful, and sometimes he looks positively pretty. And in fact Tristessa has finally one night decided to make it, and he was there and they made it good. I wanted some of that too, seeing Sal Bull didn't rise to the issue except once every 20 years or so. But no, that's enough. Hear no more. Min and Molly and Bill and Gregory Peggory, Fibber McCoy. I'd leave them and be on my way. Find me a Mimi in Paris and a Cole, a sweet Tathagata, pure pretty pity. Like poems spoke by old Italians in South American palm mud, flat, who want to go back to Balabrio, Reggie, and stroll the beauteous bell-ringing girl-walking boulevard. Drink aperitif with the coffee muggers of the Card Street, a movie by God showing us him, and us showing him which is us. For how can there be two, not one? Palm Sunday me that, Bishop San Jose. I'll go light candles to the Madonna. I'll paint the Madonna and eat ice cream, Benny and bread, dope and salt pork. As Baiku Boo Boo said, I'll go to the south of Sicily in the winter and paint memories of Aries. I'll buy a piano and Mozart me that. I'll write long, sad tales about people in the legend of my life. This part is my part of the movie. Let's hear yours.